Hey guys, welcome back to the Pokémon Podcast. Almost forgot the name of the podcast. It always happens. We're here today with a wonderful guest. Who cares about the co-host? Shut up.
Boo.
Let's talk to this guest. What's up, Lockstin?
Hi, the Sky, and I am creative today.
So, Toby.
Hi.
I actually have a story for you first. We don't need to introduce Lockstin. I can just get to my story, right?
Yeah, like everyone knows.
Yeah,
I think everyone who's listening to this podcast probably knows who Lockstin is already. So,
we've actually mentioned him a few times.
Yeah.
I'm special.
You are. Thank you. You're a role model. You're an inspiration. It's nice to have you on. I guess for the one person who doesn't know, Lockstin's a PokeTuber, and you do cool Pokemon YouTube videos, and everyone should be watching him. He's linked in the description, I assume.
Are you guys the only ones left that make theories, Pokemon theories?
There are lots of smaller channels who are new that pop up. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the kind of established people have kind of dropped off or fallen away, or Hoops is still going. Hoops does still do theory videos.
Oh, that's true.
And I guess Hybrid Hero as well, but he covers more of the actual leaks as opposed to doing theories now. So he's kind of moved in that direction. But yeah, lots of the regulars have moved on or just don't upload as frequently, I guess. But I love seeing the new kids on the block. I love it when new creatives come up and they start with theories. It's my favorite thing to see.
Remember, right, Toby? I'm for months. I'm trying to send you this jacket. I'm trying to send Josh this jacket.
Yes,
and you this piece of jewelry that you bought for Phoebe. For months, I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to send to England because I couldn't. I'd never done it before. Lockstin, have you ever sent things internationally?
I have, and it was a pain.
What was the option that you chose in the end?
I don't remember, but it was very expensive.
It was expensive.
I do remember that one.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, hundreds of dollars or 70?
I don't think it was hundreds, but I was only mailing paper stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, but even paper is expensive just to mail, which makes sense.
Yeah, it was $40.
Oh, okay.
For a quarter pound at most.
Oh wow. Okay. So my thing was £3. Okay. So it's a jacket and some jewelry.
Yeah.
And yeah, for example, UPS $300. $300 UPS, but I didn't pick UPS in the end. I did USPS. So I go to the USPS near me. They say, okay, it'll be $80 or whatever. Okay, so I come back a few weeks later because I was sick, so that delayed everything. I come back a few weeks later, and I'm like, okay, here's my package. Let's send it. That was 2 days ago. We go through the whole process. Everything's good. It's the exact same price as they said before, $80, which is fine for whatever I'm sending. Last minute, the last step of the process, they're like, our computers don't work. Our computer's not working. The internet's not working. We can do everything else except for processing customs. Everything else you can do except for processing customs right now.
Can't send international right now. Okay.
So I give it to my mom to send it in Brooklyn. From Brooklyn, because the next day I was too busy, and I'm like, okay, I want to send I want to send it already. I don't want to wait. I don't have time because it's Thursday. I didn't have time, and then today is today, which is we're doing the podcast. I don't have time to send stuff. I give it to her, and then for some reason in Brooklyn it's $40. So in the end, you're paying $40 instead of $80, half the price.
Oh, nice
for this package. But now I'm scared that it's we got the wrong option.
It's gone wrong.
Yeah, but it's the exact, I was on the phone with my mom while she was doing it. I'm running through every single reason why it could be $40, and they're like, no, it's the same exact package that you want. It's the exact package that you wanted. Everything's good.
Do you know what that says is that the people at USPS saw you coming, and they were like, this guy doesn't know postage. This guy hasn't got a clue. Your mum walks in, and they're like, no, this is a respectable lady who knows how to post internationally. They know.
Maybe
but they're not going to mess with her. Well, maybe she did haggle.
I don't know. I cannot haggle. Can you guys haggle? I cannot.
Actually, last night, I mean, this was more of a... I don't know if it was an unintentional flirt. I don't know what happened, but I was at a wedding last night.
Oh, yeah.
And the drinks were at this wedding. It was it was like a barn in the middle of... It was a really gorgeous barn, not a gross, disgusting animal-filled barn. It was this really gorgeous, scenic barn that was meant for weddings, as a wedding venue in general. It's in the middle of nowhere, so if you want drinks, you go to the venue bar or nothing. And it's a wedding, so yeah, we want drinks. And we go, and I order my drink, which is a double Disaronno and Coke. And I order this drink, and they tell me that it's $15. It's for you. It's $13, $15 for this drink. And I'm like, That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And then after waiting several hours because I didn't want to speed through the night and lose all my money, I went for a second drink. And this time it was $16, and I went, hang on, it was $15 last time. What's going on? And the other guy who served me previously went, yeah, you know, honestly, I think this place's prices are ridiculous. I think I gave you a bit of a discount last time. He was like, here, and he just came over and he was like, because you're nice, and he just gave it to me for like the equivalent of like $7. He gave me half off, and I was like, was I just flirted with? I don't know what happened there, but I walked away with my drink at half. And I was stoked. And some of the other guys were like getting their drinks. This guy at the bar was being very friendly with some of the other guys. So either the guy at the bar is very single and got it down bad, or he just hates his job. One or the other. Either way, thanks for the cheap drinks. Much appreciated.
I've been to like 300 weddings as like a wedding videographer, and I've never seen a bar that you have to pay for.
Yeah.
But again, I've never drank at a wedding bar. First, because most times I'm there for work.
Being professional.
Exactly, I'm not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But also because I don't really drink. Like, do you? I mean, wait, is that the drink that you ordered? Was that what you gave me in England?
I think you tried some Disaronno, yeah?
I mean, I drank only one thing, and it was whatever you told me to drink, which was, I think, Disaronno.
No, you drank at least two things while here, and I think one of them was Disaronno. Because you drank two, I gave you a sip of two different things.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, like the almond thing? That's not Disaronno?
Yeah, the almond thing. That's Disaronno, yeah.
You were you were raised Jehovah Witness, right?
Yeah.
Are Jehovah Witnesses allowed to drink?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
In moderation.
In moderation. Oh, okay. But then, like, am I thinking Mormons? Are Mormons not allowed to drink?
That sounds right, but I'm not sure.
I guess Jehovah Witness and Mormons are like the two like American sects of Christianity. Are there more? I don't know. like do you what are the differences?
They do seem like they're the two big ones that like started here.
So like in my mind, they're like a lot. I get a lot of like the rules or things confused between them. Like, do you know the big differences between Jehovah Witnesses and Mormons, other than like they're like leaders and stuff? Like, I
know Witnesses don't have the like Mormon underwear thing.
Let's not elaborate.
I have no idea about that whole side of it. I just know that they have fancy underwear.
Hang on, sorry, what? Hang on, little Brit boy, what? Hi, the fancy underwear thing.
Yeah, I don't know the specifics, but Mormons have like fancy underwear that they gotta wear. I remember Mitt Romney talking about it forever ago.
Is it like a chastity thing? Is it like a
chastity belt?
I don't think it's a chastity thing.
I'm just assuming it's like when you say the special underwear, I assume it's like the most unsexy underwear that you're allowed to wear. I'm just guessing.
I'm pretty sure that's part of the idea, is that it's unsexy.
Okay.
The only big differences, I guess, would be just like celebrating holidays and stuff.
Oh, okay, that's like the famous thing, I guess.
That's like the big number one thing that is known about Jehovah's Witnesses.
So,
but now that you mention it, both Mormons and Witnesses go door to door and all that.
Yeah, exactly, and they have elders.
What's it called? Polytheizing?
Proselytizing?
Proselytizing.
Yeah.
We had when we were kids, we had Jehovah Witnesses that lived close to us. And I guess my mum knew through. I think we had like coffee mornings where like new mums would meet up and their kids would hang out for a little bit, and the new mums would just get to like chat and unwind and talk about being new mums. Anyway, one of these families was a Jehovah Witness family, and they were long after we were kids, they were still hanging out, or long after we were newborns, they were still hanging out, and their kids came over, and mum said, listen, this new Pokemon thing that you're really into, they really don't like it. And I'm like, what do you mean they don't like it? What is that? Where she's like, can you just put the Pokemon cards in this tin, and you'll get the tin back after the kids go home? I'm like, but I want to play with the Pokemon cards with the other kids. And she's like, you're not allowed, because they're like demons. And I was like, what are you talking about? And like, it was like a full thing. Like, just for these kids, I was unable to talk or play Pokemon. Which, of course, as a child, the first thing I said was, so we've got Pokemon cards, but apparently you're not allowed them. but yeah, so that's like my main experience of Jehovah Witnesses.
And back then, like, Pokemon was your entire life. So that's like saying, Toby, stop being Toby.
This is prime Pokemania time, right? This is just like I just remember so sadly putting the jungle Vileplume in the tin and saying goodbye.
What's funny is that so I watched Lockstin's entire Drive My Life video like at the gym like whenever it came out, I guess. Or wait, when did it come out?
I feel like it was like towards the beginning of this year.
Been a while,
so then,
right?
Yeah, it was exactly. I guess it was when it came out. And that was like the most memorable time at the gym I've ever had. Like it was the most fun time I've ever had just working out.
Good to know.
It was a good watch. So like the only like one of the few things I remember was like your upbringing, because that was like the most like different than the average person. I don't remember if you were or were not still part of like the faith or not. Actually, like
definitely not anymore. I didn't have like a falling out or anything. I just kind of drifted, I guess.
Exactly. So that's why it was like a little blurry for me. But it's like I assume it's just the normal just like I don't believe in these things, but like I'm still like supported by my family and everything's still fine, you know.
Yeah, everything's still cool.
And was
no big drama.
Yeah, nice. Were your family Jehovah Witnesses for multiple generations? Was this like just your parents?
On my mom's side, my dad converted when he was in college.
Because he believed in it, or for your mom?
I don't know the specifics there. I think it was like one of his coworkers was a witness, and they just started talking, and like it's the 80s, so like the 80s are a cool time to convert, I guess. Yeah.
It's a cool time to convert. It's trendy in the 80s.
Yeah, you just like talk over some cocaine, and then you just have completely different perspectives.
Yep.
In the 80s, to be clear.
It's not cool anymore.
No, it's a different drug in the 90s.
I do remember the whole Pokemon scare, and it wasn't just witnesses. It was a lot of like evangelicals and such too.
Definitely.
And I feel like it was more evangelical, and then with witnesses, it was very much like a conscious matter. Like there was no like imposed rule or speeches given about Pokemon or anything. It was just like, yeah, if you don't like them, then don't let your kids play with them. Like it's as simple as that.
See,
I have other witness friends that weren't allowed to play with Pokemon, but then I was. Though I do remember my mom was a little concerned because of like the ghost Pokemon.
I'm sure there's a lot of media that you watch that has some ghost.
See, I much prefer the idea of like all the various religious leaders like getting together and like, guys, I know we've been arguing for generations, but we have to unite now. There is this thing called Pokemon, and it's an uprising, and we have to take it down. See, I want that to be the case.
I do remember the Pope having to chime in on this whole thing. He wound up just saying like, "Hey guys, Pokemon's cool. It's fine."
The Pokemon's cool.
Yeah, exact quote.
But he's like just the Pope. Like that's just for Catholics. But like, why would like evangelicals or like, you know,
that's true. I just remember that was a big thing.
I hope,
because there were lots. It was very all over the place. Like a lot of different sects of Catholicism were also concerned about it.
Like even like Muslims, some of them. Some countries. It was less like the religion, more like the governments that were opposing Pokemon. Pokemon was a huge deal, and I think it was mostly to do with like slight like Japanophobia, because people just don't understand Japan. Like people saying like Pokemon means this, or like this Pokemon means this, when you could literally just research it. Like I don't understand. I mean, maybe
research is hard. Xenophobia is easy.
I guess, yeah. It really was. It was less like religion and more like xenophobia, honestly. Although, okay, Harry Potter, for example, that's from an English-speaking country, but that's like literally magic. Like I get that.
Yeah,
but
Pokemon I was not allowed anything to do with that.
Wow,
I actually still haven't seen them, and I don't have any interest to.
Oh,
but
really?
You're really not missing out. I'm just being as a Brit and as someone who Harry Potter was like, what, you know, when I was that age, when the first Harry Potter film was coming out. It was a big deal, and obviously, like the tone has completely changed now because everyone just, you know, dislikes J.K. Rowling. We won't get into that, but I completely, you know, I get it entirely. This was for many years a big part of like everyone's cultural upbringing and history, and it was like, yeah, everyone loved Harry Potter, and especially in the early 2000s.
The biggest phenomenon among millennials that weren't children.
Right, like genuinely, it was like Harry Potter, Pokemon, Star Wars were kind of the three things because Star Wars was rebooting with the prequels. But like, they're fine. Like they're
not
fine.
Masterpieces or anything.
I think if you weren't there, like you only had to be there. Like if you weren't there, like there's not. I don't know that you'll have the huge appreciation. Like there are any other number of fantasy series now that just do the same thing but way better. House of the Dragon.
Oh wow, yeah.
Phenomenal. Oh, but yeah, there's so much else.
Well, I mean, it's children fantasy. Like House of Dragon. House of Dragon is not for children, so it's like of course it's going to be more interesting to.
Not for your children,
but like,
I'm not raising some wet blanket children. I'm going to show them House of the Dragon on day 3.
Oh my god. On day 3.
They'll be able to relate with the children that get burnt and eaten in it.
But like I first watched Harry, like, so my whole childhood, teenagehood, not all my friends, a lot of people around me were consuming Harry Potter. I didn't actually. I started watching them. I watched all of them in college, like in 1 month. And I actually really liked it, like, because I'm just a big fan of, like, I'm a fan of teenagers with powers. Like, any media with teenagers with powers, I love it. And just seeing, I'm also, like, a big fan of, like, coming-of-age movies and also time skips. I love just seeing people grow up and their development, character development, and that's just what it is. Like, but, like, obviously the actual, like, world of Harry Potter, or, like, the filmmaking, it's just, yeah, it's average. It's nothing crazy. But like, were you allowed to watch like Lord of the Rings, for example, or? Because that's also magic, I guess.
and that confused me as a kid. Like Lord of the Rings has wizards and stuff too. All my friends are talking about Harry Potter, but I guess it's just because Harry Potter is like very focused on the wizardry and the magic and all that, whereas Lord of the Rings has magic, but it's not focused on it. I guess. I'm not sure.
Yeah, like Harry Potter's like, let's escape to the land of magic, whereas Lord of the Rings is very much just like, yeah, it's just the world. We're all there. Everyone's on the same page.
Even though the escaping to the land, whatever land you're escaping to in Harry Potter, it's not that like appealing. It's like just old timey, like the secret underground like wizard world in Harry Potter. It's just nothing special. It's nothing that you actually want to go to, like the world of Pokemon or Middle Earth.
You don't think Hogwarts? Like Hogwarts? Because it's got like all the various quirky, like, because, right, you're right, like, it's not like...
That's just any boarding school. Like, boarding schools as a kid, like, oh, that's so cool, I want to go to this, like, famous school.
Yeah, but it's not. It's like, it's the moving staircases and the secret rooms, and there's the room of requirement where you get anything your heart wants and all that jazz, and, like, the Forbidden Forest. Like, I don't know, I think, like, anything outside of Hogwarts sounds hella, like, the Ministry of Magic sounds hella boring, but, like...
Yeah, exactly. Anything outside of Hogwarts,
I don't want to go to the Ministry of Magic, but the like the actual like the Diagon Alley and the school, I think they did a pretty good job of like building that into something.
But like, I'd rather just go learn the magic, come back to the normal world, to the Muggle world, and just do magic. Wizard worlds just seemed like no electricity, nothing cool.
It always confused me as to why the wizards hadn't at this point just taken over the human world, because like also they were like, there are sects of people that like are anti-humans, anti-non-magical peoples.
Well, that's what the villains wanted to do.
You're right, but like, how had it not happened? Like, it just sort of feels like more people would, more wizards might vibe with that. I feel like, okay, I guess X-Men just does it better, where you've got like the mutants like Charles Xavier who are like, no, we must live alongside the humans.
Yeah.
And then you've got the mutants like Magneto who are like, no, the humans will always want to wipe us out. We need to protect ourselves and admit that we are the next step in evolution. Like, that story is so interesting, and X-Men does it really well. But like Harry Potter like never touches it and just, turns Magneto into Voldemort, and Magneto's way cooler.
Magneto's my favorite antagonist, I think.
He's
at least in comic books. So, Lockstin, what were franchises that you watched as a kid or consumed in general? It doesn't have to be a film.
I watched so much SpongeBob, if that's related at all.
It's always related. SpongeBob is the number one meme maker. So you have to understand it.
Just constantly.
Okay, good. Yeah, me too. I don't know about Toby. Toby, what, once or twice?
Oh no, I watched SpongeBob. I watched all the early SpongeBob. I know I did. I was there. I just didn't retain it like everyone else seems to have.
Huh? Why do you think so? Like, what?
I don't know. Everyone's
didn't leave an impact. Wait, did your brother watch it with you?
Yeah.
Did your parents watch
sometimes
at least an episode?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Because I think why I retained, at least in my family, is because like I would be able to repeat the jokes to anybody in my family, including my parents, who obviously they didn't watch every episode with me, but like my mom, she knows all the jokes. But again, it's also because I just use it a lot in meme culture.
So I'm getting defensive, Lockstin, because like there's this like accusation that I'm not cool and down with it because I don't get SpongeBob memes, and that's like been levied against me by Ron and by like Phoebe, my lovely girlfriend Phoebe. She, I'm too old. I don't get it. I'm not with it. But I'm like, no, I was there. I watched SpongeBob. I watched Fairly Odd Parents. Money, money, money. Yeah, I get it. I don't know. Apparently, I don't.
Wait, Lockstin,
Not
how old are you?
lame.
How old are you, Lockstin?
That's a good question. 27?
20. So you're.
I want to say.
Wait, Toby, you're 28.
I'm 28, going on
so you're
29 in April.
Yeah, I'm 26. So you're right between us.
Maybe I am too old. Maybe I'm legit too old. Maybe that is making a difference.
Yeah.
I don't know my math. I was born in 94.
Same.
So then maybe 98, maybe 28.
Maybe 28.
Wait, when's your birthday?
January.
Wait.
Then you're 28. Well, you're older than
Okay,
me.
cool.
Do Jehovah
See, this is
Witnesses
another
celebrate
thing.
birthday?
Yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses don't do birthdays.
That's
so like
hilarious.
I never it's just a date. Like
Oh, that's funny. So you still don't like celebrate birthdays?
when doctors are like, yeah, so what's your date of birth? I have to think about it every single time.
Oh, wow.
You're
Because
the
it's-
first
it-
month
it was
of the
never
year.
a
That's
big-
so convenient.
It was never a big event, so I never like memorized
Wow.
it. It's just another number, like a social security number or something. Just another number to memorize.
But once you just like started like, what word should I use? Losing your faith? Is that appropriate or what? Does
Yeah,
that sound
that's
harsh?
It's a little harsh.
It
but-
sounds harsh, honestly. But I don't know. Just
like,
not
I don't-
practicing.
I don't not celebrate them.
Celebrate what?
Like birthdays and holidays and stuff. Like I did my first Halloween it was the year before the pandemic was my first Halloween that I like actually did stuff with. And it was great. And then the pandemic happened. So I think the pandemic was my fault. It was God punishing me for going back and doing all that.
Is that a thing? Is like guilt, like just like how Catholicism has like a lot of guilt? Is that a thing in Jehovah's Witnesses?
No, that's just a joke.
I mean, I can never know.
But like even to this day, I don't think I've done like any Christmas things because like, you know.
What about Easter? Easter, I would assume something. No?
I'm interested because no, I'm interested. What's the for Christmas things?
It's
Gator
just
turkey.
It's just money to spend.
It is just money to
decorations to
spend.
put up. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress. So
You don't have
it's just
to do the decorations.
I know,
could-
but
I think
like I have gone to like Christmas parties and stuff, but I've never like hosted anything or put up a tree or anything like that because it just doesn't interest me.
that's fair enough.
Yeah,
What about
that's-
the idea of a day where you just buy gifts for other people and they just buy gifts for you? Does that not appeal to you, or is that kind of anxious?
My immediate group of friends do a thing called Friendsgiving, which is basically around Thanksgiving time, we just all meet up somewhere from around the West Coast, and we do gift stuff, and it's
Aw.
basically just that, because like we
That's so
live
nice.
all up and down the West Coast, so we only get to see each other like once a year, and that's what we do.
That's so nice.
How's the weather in your area, like in terms of like the climate seasonally?
Well, since I moved to Oregon, a lot nicer. It feels normal. I've heard that the area we live in is very similar to central Japan, if that helps
Oh, wow.
at all. There's so many cherry blossoms around here in Salem, Oregon.
Okay, that makes sense in terms of your Cascade region.
Yeah.
But
But when I lived in California, it was miserable. It was like 6 months of summer, and during the like middle of summer, we would easily reach 115 degrees.
oh wow, I
and,
thought you
like-
were closer to like San Francisco though.
No, I was in like northern California, like near Mount Shasta. But yeah, it's just a desert.
Because like imagine you live, let's say like the Bay Area, for example, where it's like the same temperature every day forever, and you also didn't have holidays. So it's like, that sounds like, I don't know. That sounds like like a headache for me.
How do you keep track
Stuck
of
in
time?
a time loop.
Yeah, how could you tell time? But I guess you had.
That's
seasons.
a good point. I guess I've just never thought about it. We had 2 seasons, summer and not summer.
But then it's interesting because you chose to create your region, the Cascade region. This is your Pokemon fan region. And seasons is like a huge feature of this, right? You've got your kind of 4 quadrants.
Oregon and Washington are both very, very seasonal.
Yeah.
Right.
It was just the part of California I grew up in was very not.
But it's just interesting because then that to me says that you chose to focus on that point maybe because you notice it more as someone who didn't live there for a long time and have experienced that.
Oh, that's
where
a
it's
good
all
point.
just is that maybe a thing? I don't know. Maybe I'm just seeing into things.
It's not something I actively thought of, but now that you mention it, that sounds very correct. Because that's one of the reasons why I chose to move here was because, like, oh man, there's seasons.
Right.
I've never gotten to experience seasons before.
Because to me, like, if I'm making for me, a place being seasonal is normal. Like, that's just a normal part of where I live, and it's pretty even throughout the year as a sort of 3 months of summer, spring, autumn, whatever. So, I wouldn't think to be creative and create a region based on the idea of seasons because that's a norm. It's not a novelty, or it's not like even a new exciting thing to focus on for a place.
To be fair, where you live, the seasons aren't extreme for you.
They're not extreme, but they're definitely defined. Like as they blend into each other. Like we're now in deep sort of autumn. We're almost at the point where it'll begin transitioning into winter, and like it's very clear. This is autumn. That's summer. This is spring. This is exactly what you'd expect. The gradients may be a little bit bigger, and it doesn't get quite so extreme. But yeah, it's just interesting to me that like something that maybe you wouldn't have even considered influencing your creative process maybe did. In the well, yeah, of course there are seasons here. But yeah, there are seasons in a bunch of places. Yeah, but the season's here, like, and that's now part of your region.
But well, then I think the opposite question is why didn't you choose where you grew up as an inspiration for your region?
Because I'm very bored of where I grew up.
But at least I assume it has like a very like relatively distinct landscape compared to like other places in the U.S. Like, what was the landscape where you grew up?
I do like the landscape. It's very like scrublandy, desert, oak forest.
Yeah, so
but oak forests that are on fire every single year.
Sounds kind of epic. I'm kidding.
It's kind of like Australia now that I think about it. Lots of brush and dead leaves stinking everywhere, and that's why the fires are really bad every year. But
like I would assume that if someone wanted to make a region based on that location, they could 100% like associate some kind of legendary.
I did base parts of the Cascade region on that area. Like Mount Shasta is Mount Spectral, I think is what I called it. Mount Spectral in the south. The southernmost mountain in Cascade is based on Mount Shasta, and I pulled in a lot of like local cryptid stuff for the lore in that area.
Nice. Yeah, there's definitely
like the weird Atlanteans that open. It's like one of 9 focus points for the Earth's soul, and so people gathered in my hometown from all over the world.
What you talking about?
About once every couple years for like a big event thing. I don't know the specifics.
Yeah. I remember that in your video. Okay, yeah.
And that's what the Deontay is based on. The Cascadian Deontay.
Yeah, something about deserts makes people be culty.
Yeah.
Do a cult.
You go out into the desert and you worship your goat idols. That's the whole. We spoke about this.
Yeah, we spoke about this. Yeah,
this is what
makes
you do.
sense.
You go into
that's basically
the
Judaism.
desert.
All right, that's cool. I mean, okay, but then, what did you look forward to, like, during your childhood, like special days? What were days that you were like, oh, that's coming up?
Well, I've always been a very big like school nerd kind of guy. So I would always love when school's coming up, like during summer, because summer was very boring.
Well, I do love the back to school season. I do enjoy a lot, honestly. And this is maybe
a big main reason why summer's really boring is because summers are so hot you can't go outside. Like we wouldn't be able to do anything. We had to stay indoors or risk heat stroke.
Exactly. But that's the thing now for everyone. Like when I was a kid, I was able to go outside during the summer. Now I can't. Like I literally. There's 2 months. That's why I was so glad I got to go to England during August, because I'm like, okay, I can finally go outside. But then I came back and it was still hot. But okay, that makes sense. I think something that us two would relate is just like being we enjoyed school, like we we were the quote unquote like gifted kids, and that like I don't know if that messed you up, like it messed me.
It messed me up hard.
Like how did it manifest for you?
So like I've been like a straight A student, following the rules and all that for like my entire life. I was that gifted kid, and now it's manifested itself in just stress and anxiety of letting everyone down because the adult world is hard, and it's so many things can just go wrong that are outside of your control, and it's just the worst. School was easy because it was structured.
Oh yeah, I miss the structure, man.
See, this is the thing that frustrates me about school is that don't worry, your teacher will tell you that you've done good, and then what happens when you don't have a teacher? Well, you'll have a boss, great. What happens when you're your own boss? What happens when no one can tell you that you've done a good job? What happens when they're, you know what I mean? But like I see others who were like, as you say, grade A students and stuff, and the stress that they go through, just like trying to still be like, to be better than all the peers and to like
be a perfectionist.
Desperately looking for some level of like validation from the outside, and I'm just sitting there like, but are you happy with it? like are you're making good stuff?
And then it's a problem when you're like a YouTuber who used to be like a gifted kid, because now you're looking for validation from like comments and like viewers and stuff like
and that's so dangerous, right? Because like
you'll read one mean comment and then you take it personally, and then it's stuck in your head for weeks.
Like I don't want to show any like flaws of mine, or like seem like I'm less competent than I am. And then when someone like corrects me in the comment section, especially if it was something that I did know and then somehow I let slip like a fact or something that I actually did know and by mistake misspoke, then I'm just hard at myself for like, oh, now they think I'm an idiot even though I knew that fact or whatever. So you're just stressed about looking like an idiot all the time when you aren't. So yeah.
Which I don't mind looking like an idiot so much, which is fine. But then
you're really good at it.
Maybe the result. Thanks.
Good job.
Thanks, man. But then maybe the results tell. I don't know. I mean, you guys have both got, we've all got very successful channels, but you guys have considerably more successful channels than where I'm at in terms of the, I guess, the viewership goes. And so maybe while it's come with a boatload of anxiety, maybe that drive to do better is ultimately a good thing. I don't know.
I'd rather be happy than have views. The views don't make me happy.
Oh, see, I do think the views would make me happier.
Yeah, it definitely makes you happier. I'd rather have views than no views.
Yeah.
But a complete different tangent. Lockstin, in your Draw Your Life, you mentioned you had bad skin as a child, but now you have amazing skin. How did that happen?
Oh god, I don't remember saying that at all. But I have a very bad memory.
You said you
bad
had,
skin, a bad memory.
But like I would say, whenever I see you on screen, I'm always like, wow, this guy has amazing skin. I'm jealous.
Well, I wear makeup in my videos.
I mean, right now you're not wearing makeup, and you look pretty nice.
That's true. I guess it's just because I take better care of myself. I'm a little more health conscious.
That's true. Oh, we'll talk about that. That's a big part of your life.
What kind of makeup do you wear in your videos?
Exclusively foundation.
Sure.
Yeah, what else is you gonna wear? Okay, but that's actually cool to know now, because now I can. Because I'm always like, whoa, like something's not off about his skin, but like this is like better skin than the average. But now it makes sense because you do what actual actors and television people do.
Yeah, I was weirded out by the idea at first, but I worked at an ABC news station before I was doing YouTube full time, and like all of the male news anchors wear foundation also.
Yeah.
So I guess that like normalized it for me, and so I just
don't
started
like the feeling of it on skin.
Oh yeah, I hate the feeling of it.
Still,
but beauty is pain.
Yeah,
I've been doing it since like 2016 or so.
Wow, even back then.
I'm still not used to it.
When did you start your channel, by the
way? My first like serious upload was in late 2013, I think.
That's technically me too. Oh, that's not my first upload was in late 2013, but that wasn't a serious upload. I did look back like yesterday just to see your first video, but it's like 2014, so I assume you like deleted a few videos.
Oh yeah, I have so many unlisted videos now.
And so now it looks like the first video is already like relatively high quality, which is pretty cool. like if someone goes back, they're like, oh wow, he was good from the beginning. But I assume you already had like video production under your belt by even your
Yeah,
first upload.
I was doing video stuff in high school for like every project that I would be allowed to do a video presentation. I would just do that.
Same. And yeah, people always love it when you roll up with a video in class instead of like a slideshow or something. So your channel originally started as just theories in general, video game theories in general, and then it famously shifted to 99% Pokemon by now, at least. Like a year ago, it was like 80% maybe, or like 2 years ago, or maybe even, I don't know.
I feel like it was the hype season for Sword and Shield where I finally basically 100% went Pokemon, aside from the occasional like every Pikmin explained kind of thing.
Oh yeah, and you did like also like within the last few years like some more like explained, like I don't know, what's it called, Temtem for example. You did I think one of those, and then
Pokemon and Pokemon likes.
Yeah, and do those do well, or like the Temtem? Did the Temtem one do well?
They're kind of all over the place. Some of them do really well, some of them don't.
Whatever, might as well do them.
I guess it just depends on how popular the franchise is.
You have the most amazing ability to upload a video on literally like any Pokemon and it do well. Like I feel like it's just no longer a concern for you as to like if like we generate a Pokemon for the thumbnail, right? And when we do, we're always dreading like, oh no, what if it's a Lickitung? Like we don't want to have that on our thumb. But I feel like if you did a video about Lickitung, it would be like bang, getting that views. People want to watch it because you're going to explain Lickitung in such a way that it's got... And even like Lickitung's relatively popular, it's the kind of Pokemon I guess I'm thinking about, like, you know...
yeah, and the thumbnail will look like it's licking us.
Yeah. I can almost picture the thumbnail now of a Lickitung with its tongue giant and it's wrapped around your character and he's freaking out.
It's basically a joke by now that, like, we always generate just, like, the most... Not even mid Pokemon that, like, literally people don't like or think about.
Yeah.
And just are the worst in the thumbnail. And because of that, we should actually talk about the new dog Pokemon so we can put that in the thumbnail. Greavard. Give us those Greavard facts, Lockstin. What is it based on?
Well, first, is it pronounced Greavard or Grievard?
I don't
think they ever say it. Because, like, Greavard...
What's the art part?
It sounds more like the dog, but Grievard sounds like graveyard.
Yeah.
So, like...
Oh. Greavard just sounds easier. It flows easier out of the tongue.
For sure. And that's why in my video about it, I purposefully pronounce it both ways.
Oh, yeah. I sometimes do that when I don't know what it could be. But...
So, like, long story short, it's like a triple pun, and I love it. Because, like, medieval candles were made from tallow. Because, like, wax candles... They had wax candles back then, but they were very expensive. So only royals, nobles, and the church could afford wax candles. So all the peasants had candles made of tallow, which is rendered animal fat. And in the process of making tallow, you also get a byproduct called greaves. Hence Greavard. And today, greaves are mostly used in dog food.
Okay.
So, like... The same process that you use to make old candles makes dog food. So, like, the candle dog, there you go.
That is pretty good. And then grieving.
Yeah, and then grieving.
And graveyard.
Graveyard, because it's a ghost. The Ard also comes from Briard, which is the breed of dog that it pulls a lot from.
Too many connections. There's too many. It's too good.
I love it. Those are my favorite type of Pokemon.
Again,
unfortunately,
seal
design
is a seal.
My favorite or anything.
Seal's a seal, you know?
It's a seal with a horn. Why? Because it was boring before, so we added a horn.
I want to see that video. I want to see you do the video on Seal.
Oh, April Fools. Just do all the Pokemon that have no actually cool
has nothing.
I do have a Seal video, and it did fairly decently.
What did you say about Seal, other than it's a seal?
Everything that I possibly could. I went into like mermaids and dugongs because
dugong you got a little bit more wiggle room, I guess.
Honestly, dugong is a very good name.
Seal's like main pose in its sprite, it makes its tail look like a water fountain spewing upwards.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, I saw this Seal video actually. Now I think of it.
That was forever ago.
Yeah,
but I have been for a while in the back of my head wanting to do a video that's just the top 10 Pokemon with nothing origins. So I've had that in the back of my mind, and I'm just keeping track of all the Pokemon that we go over. Because like Seal theoretically would be in there. But then again,
Yes.
it isn't Pidove. So
Pidove has no origin, right? But I think like
when it evolves into Unpheasant, it starts getting some interesting things. We actually just finished a script about Unpheasant. But Pidove on its own, it's just a dove with a heart shaped.
But I think for some reason the heart just makes it is better than a horn, because the heart is cleverly like placed into its design.
It's a lot better than just putting a horn on a pigeon.
Yeah, exactly. And also it makes total sense to have a dove in New York, while I don't know why there's a seal in. I mean, I assume there are some seals in the Kanto region of Japan, but like,
I feel like they definitely didn't care about like
yeah, definitely.
local animals until like Gen 5.
Yeah.
Gen 5 is when I'd say they started. Although Gen 4 was like half. Like, not in the terms of origins, but in terms of just like the environment. They started thinking about the environment, but because like, honestly, Gen 3 environment-wise also. Honestly, Gen 3, because Gen 3, a lot of the Pokemon really are like mythical, like yokai-based, and like things that would be in a Japanese, like they're very Japanesey, you know, and also like 100% fit in their environment, especially compared to Johto. So that's why I think, that's why I love Hoenn, at least. It just felt
I think it's probably, would you say Alola or Galar are more like the first 100% of the new Pokemon?
Alola, definitely. Like, Alola was like, that's like, okay, I get it. I get it, Hawaii.
They're all tropical.
Because like, yeah,
one thing that weirds me out with the Alola decks is like the koala and stuff.
Yeah, and that's why I hate when people come to me and are like, oh, you can't put this kind of Pokemon in your Middle Eastern region. They don't exist in the Middle East. And I'm like, there are like at least 30 Pokemon in every region that they shouldn't exist in that region.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Komala is number one. Or Halucha is the classic one. That one, I don't know why they did that. Although, great Pokemon. Maybe we'll randomly generate a Halucha. Let's find out.
Ooh.
All right, randomly generating Pokemon. And we technically talked about Greavard, so if this Pokemon sucks, that's in the thumbnail. Oh no!
It's a good
It's
Pokemon.
one of the best Pokemon ever!
Well, we can just put that in the thumbnail, because Greavard isn't a good... No, I was thinking it's not a good thumbnail Pokemon because of its positioning. It's like an awkward artwork. So, go on, what's our better Pokemon for the thumbnail?
Luxray.
Oh, Luxray's pretty good.
It's like top 10 Pokemon for me.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
I always loved it when I was younger. It reminded me of Shadow the Hedgehog, and so I named mine Shadow.
That's nice.
Well, I did the opposite. I did light-based names for my Luxrays.
It does feel like a classic kind of edgelord Pokemon, but it's
okay. That's like, why I don't understand this whole thing. Like, oh, edgelord Pokemon. I'm not saying that you're the ones who are like insinuating that it's an edgelord, but it's like, I mean, you did, but but it's
literally what I said. Yeah.
So we're not allowed to have cool-looking Pokemon. It's not like it's like a standing up and it's like a furry or like it's
wait. It's not a criticism to say it's an edgelord. What's the?
I know
you're getting so defensive. I just think it's an edgelord Pokemon.
Edgelord is always a negative for some reason.
Nah, it's fine. He's just a bit of an edgelord. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
What's edgy about him?
We will go through edgy, and then there's edgelord.
His edges, his literal edges cool. around his head.
Edgelord is like a you're like exaggerating, or you're
He has a black spiky mane.
Why can't he have a black? We can't have black Pokemon.
I'm not saying
Pokemon, Toby.
Wow. Okay. Okay. You need to simmer down. He's got a black spiky mane, and he is literally like king of the pride. He's a lord. He is an edgelord. He's an edgelord of Pokemon as you can have. It's fine.
It's got that angsty look in the eyes.
Dramatic. He's dramatic. It's fine. It's an okay thing.
Every Pokemon that's like fully evolved and cool has like angry eyes. But I think it's just like Luxray is the kind of Pokemon I want to see in every region. So like, for example, we haven't gotten a Pokemon like it yet in Gen 9, but again, they're not revealing a lot. But that always gets me hyped. Like Gen 7, not Gen 7, Gen 8, we got Corviknight, literally one of the first Pokemon ever revealed. Gen 7, we got like Vikavolt relatively early. Like, I need Pokemon that look really cool, and we haven't got any of them other than Ceruledge and the other one, Armarouge. Yes. But those are relatively kind of maybe hopefully related to the legendaries. Like I want just a normal Pokemon you can find in the wild that becomes something awesome. and cool.
I
and we haven't
really
gotten
don't
it
think Ceruledge has anything to the Ceruledge and Armorage have anything to do with legendaries. We've seen like there's like a
There has to be a reason they have the same exact colors. Maybe they ride them or something in the past. I don't know. I don't think they're
Maybe.
legendaries. They may. There's things leading me to believe that it's not. They're legendaries, but they
Sure.
definitely have to do something with the like. It's,
Well,
I like the
probably
idea.
a theory there. I can definitely
Yeah.
come up with a theory.
Like I like the idea of just normal Pokemon being related to the legendaries. I want to see more of that. But just Luxray in every region. I want to put a Luxray in every region. That's my campaign. I always just loved that. I think the contrast of just like the darkness with the very bright colors. That's what some of my favorite Pokemon have, like contrast in their color schemes. And also like I never got it, but I also really liked it where you know how its legs have like stripes, which kind of looks like, I guess, a vertebrae, which makes no sense in the leg. But it's like
Segmented.
I mean, that's not how, like, you know, the arm bones are, but like I assume the stripes are having to do with the X-ray, right? When you see the stripes on Luxray's legs, if you can remember them, do you think of like bones or not? Because that's what I always thought of.
You think of bones? No, I don't think of bones.
That's a little weird.
Yeah,
Really?
no, I just think of the pattern.
So why are the stripes there? There has to be a reason for the stripes, and it looks like vertebrae to
That's
me.
true.
Looks like a spine. So what the hell? What the hell, Game Freak?
Yeah,
Look
I don't
at
know.
Luxray. Look at Luxray for a second.
I'm looking at Luxray.
cut this
I'm
out.
looking at Luxray right now.
Spine legs.
Yeah,
That
it
is
has
an
spine
edgelord
legs.
Pokemon. It's fine. It's like wearing big stripy socks. It's fine. I don't know.
But you know that's not. There was a reason for that, and if it's literally the X-ray Pokemon, they had to have been thinking, let's put some bones in the legs, but they forgot that the bones in the legs don't look like that.
Maybe. Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
I always thought of it like that. But if
That's
not,
great.
it's not.
That's
Or it's
that's-
like those like aprons that they put on you whenever you get an X-ray.
so
How
it's
they're
like
like
the front.
solid. They're solid in the front and they have straps in the back. to hold them
Exactly.
up.
So that I think that could be it. I'll find out. We'll ask. Game
There's big ears of it. It's like it's got really big brown front-facing ears. I don't
Yeah,
really think
that-
about those that much.
That's the whole philosophy of these edgy Pokemon,
Yeah.
where it's like you add something that still makes it still cute, which is like the ears of its pre-evolution. Those are my favorite kind of Pokemon. I think Luxray is perfect design. That's why it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a pretty phenomenal Pokemon.
Do you ever get X-rays?
Yeah,
Yeah.
How many
I
times?
popped a rib this week. 2 weeks ago, actually.
What does
I
popping
pop-
a rib mean?
So it's not as bad as it sounds. It's not like a break or a fracture, but it's like your rib just sort of pops out of place, and then it sort of rearranges itself over time and pops itself back in. And I know this because I came off the trampoline 2 weeks ago, and I was doing a front flip, and I literally heard a pop, and winded myself, which was horrible. And then I've been in pain all week, and after about a week, I called the doctor and I said, look, it's getting a little bit better, but I'm a bit worried because it hurts in my back. And she was like, based on everything you said, sounds like you've popped a rib. And then I Googled it, and everything I read was, yep, you popped a rib. And
Toby,
she
you're
said if
popping
it's-
off.
She said
That's
if
what your doctor said.
if it gets worse, I gotta go in and get an X-ray and stuff. But it's actually getting better, so it almost definitely is. In fact, it's either it doesn't technically because you've got fake ribs. You've got ribs that aren't fully bone. You've got ribs that are like cartilage and stuff. And so it can also just mean damage to the. I think anyone who understands medical anatomy is going to be in the comments of this one like, Toby, you're an idiot and you have no idea what you're talking about. But I believe it's just damage to those areas as well as like counts as that.
Ouch.
It should be good to bounce again soon. But yeah, I've had X-rays. I've had X-rays to a couple parts of my body.
How do we go back to the edgy thing so then we can actually really neatly segue to Legends Neo Ghetsis?
Oh, I thought we were going to segue to Shadow the Hedgehog because that's what you were talking about earlier. And like, it's one of my favorite GameCube games. It's great.
So fun fact, I've 100%ed Shadow the Hedgehog. I've gone through
Nice.
all like 52 routes.
Yeah, I mean, and me too. And then you get the secret ending. But when you say you've
Yeah.
100%ed it, have you A ranked it all?
That I don't think so.
No, but that's fine because we're on the same page then. I was like, I just didn't know how hardcore. That is such a flex for me. Genuinely, I think that's so cool, dude. I feel like most people listening, this isn't cool. This is like maybe even kind of lame. But like, I think that's really cool.
I was a super Sonic fan.
Same.
Back during the like Adventure 2 era.
Yeah, it's saying very much. It fell off over these. I like that you were just given 2 options to talk about your new project, Ghetsis, or Shadow the Hedgehog, and you elected to not promote yourself and instead to go for Shadow the Hedgehog.
I like Sonic.
It's not often I get to talk about it.
It's true. When does it come up? When does someone say, hey, I like Shadow the Hedgehog? We should talk about Ghetsis, though. This is your kind of the evolution of your Cascade region / entirely new project, really.
Yeah. The idea was I wanted to figure out how to make Pokemon a action-based JRPG that is T-rated. And so the whole point is that it's slightly edgier, but not too edgy. We don't want to go like full-on Pokemon murder, like plenty of ROM hacks have done. And so finding that balance is tricky, but I figured, hey, one of the cool things that I see a lot of JRPGs do is just immediate post-apocalyptic setting. So here we go. It's Kanto, 100 years after the events of Red and Blue.
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunky. And when I first started this project, it was before Legends Arceus was even like announced or anything. I had no plan for ancestors or I guess descendants at first. But then Legends Arceus came out, and that idea is just brilliant. So that changed the course of everything. And that also changed the name, because I had no idea what I was going to call the series at first.
It was Project 96 before that, right?
Yeah, that was like a working title, though.
I did enjoy that.
Cool. Yeah, no, I actually quite liked that. Like, Project 96 is, nice
it
callback,
is,
but...
I did find a way to incorporate Project 96, and it will be revealed in the next episode, but I'll tell you now anyway.
This can come out after that anyways. I assume.
Oh, cool. The descendants of Team Rocket are trying to gather all the Zygarde cells, but there's only 96 of them left. The other 4 have, died. They're completely gone.
Oh.
So they're using the, Mew cloning tech to try to clone the last few of them, and they're going to get, a corrupted Zygarde kind of thing.
Oh, that's dope. That's such a cool idea.
Toby, tell him what a corrupted Zygarde is.
Yeah, Guzzlord is a corrupted Zygarde.
Were you aware of that?
There's something about that. You did a video about that forever ago.
I've done videos about that. Yeah, I've talked that a couple of times. So James Turner, who designed, I think, both Perfect Zygarde and Guzzlord, or at least designed Guzzlord.
Definitely
I'm not 100%
Guzzlord,
sure. Has confirmed that there is a connection between these 2 Pokemon, and when you look at them, they are a giant kind of body face with a smaller head on top, 4 distinct appendages out the top, along with its 2 feet. The core, the mouth, seems to be a big part of their design. They're both dragon types. The room in which you find Guzzlord in Alola is Zygarde's room from Kalos. And if that doesn't drive it home enough. And the idea is one is the kind of order Pokemon that looks after the world, and the other is a complete world destroyer. And so there's that kind of parallel between them. And you could take that to mean any number of things. Like, it could be that Zygarde in the future become Guzzlord, or it could mean that just in an infinite universe, or an infinite multiverse, where only a limited amount of things can happen, sometimes things appear similar, not quite the same. And so that's what Guzzlord is. It's kind of like a warped version. Why are you laughing, Ron?
Because you did the thing that we discussed last time. Again, it's a good thing. It's fine.
It's similar, but not quite the same. I'm selling it like a trailer.
No, whenever you do cliche things, you go into theatrics.
Yeah.
Which I like, but it's funny when I notice it.
Thanks. I'm glad I could bring you joy.
I had completely forgotten about that. This works out perfectly. My plan today is I'm writing a video about Guzzlord, so I will happily borrow that.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Borrow. I see. Right, borrow with all the shout outs and okay, cool. No, that's fine. You take that. You don't worry about any shout outs. You just enjoy it. Have it for free, mate. That's good. On me.
But then why is it called Ghetsis? We're gonna find out.
We're gonna find out. Basically,
we're gonna find out. Okay.
Ghetsis is the reason everything is the way it is. And just like with how in Legends Arceus you don't really see Arceus at all until towards the very end, we're doing the same kind of thing.
Nice.
That's cool. I liked the artwork you have of a sort of I'm not convinced that it's a descendant of Giovanni. It's like a future-looking Giovanni who's kind of being kept alive by technology. I'm not sure, but he's very cool artwork. This was in your Reggie video. I thought it was super cool.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what he is.
Yeah.
He's Giovanni, and he's super rich and powerful, and so he has like all of the life-extending tech. Chosen to be left alive because he's like the only survivor that knows about the whole Mewtwo cloning thing.
Right. Okay.
So like they invested so much power and money into keeping him alive.
I like the idea.
That's so cool.
I always like villains, like the main antagonists becoming like great characters in like the future. I've always liked that trope.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the future. X-Men does that sometimes where Magneto is like good in like, for example, in like Days of Future Past, at least in the movie, but not in the comics. I don't think so. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. What is one of my favorite aspects of Legends of Ghetsis, which other people probably isn't their favorite aspect, is the custom music that you commissioned. Yeah, I wish I could have that. I don't know what
I am planning on probably after the series is done, I'll upload like a OST playlist
nice.
kind of video.
Yeah, I just want to listen to them. They're all really good. Who makes them? Well, I assume they're all different people? Or
there's a couple different people. The one that I remember off the top of my head is C Lil Beats, and he's just like a freelance guy.
Yeah, because they're unlike any other like remixes or remasters on YouTube. Maybe Zame does sometimes like that, stuff like that. I love when like the Pokemon remaster artists on YouTube like just do like a project where like, okay, what if? Well, actually, I think Zame did it before Neo Ghetsis, where it's like he made like just like a teaser for an album of like Kanto in the future, like a post-apocalyptic future, which is exactly what you did, and like so the music was that. So now I'm wondering maybe that. I don't think that's the case, but I think maybe a year ago, I thought, wait, was he the one you commissioned to do those things? But I guess not. But I guess it's just I think that is a common thing. Like, even like when I did like a video where I created a Legends for every region, like a Legends game for every region, and Kanto was the only one that was in the future. I think Kanto, everybody just wants to see a future Kanto game, which is, yeah, it makes sense.
That makes sense. I think Kanto in the past just sounds kind of like Kanto now. Like, and I think a lot of that comes from the lack of mythos around the region. Like, realistically, Mew has no bearing on the actual contents of the game. And Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno have very little lore about them. And so, without expanding out into the Sevi Islands and the Orange Islands and making it about Lugia, doing a past of the Kanto region honestly sounds really dull. There's no big ruins in Kanto. There's no big kind of spiritual areas like in Johto, for example, where you've got all the towers and So I think
also think about the Kanto region's design. Like it's mostly wilderness, whereas like today the real world Kanto region is entirely city.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like going into the future was that's the main reason why I chose Kanto specifically, is because I felt like the Kanto region in the games doesn't really reflect real Kanto very well, unless they were going for a Kanto of the past initially. But that makes it so where if you were doing a Kanto in the past game, it wouldn't feel that different.
I think also it's like certainly with Giovanni, like it's cool to see those characters in the future. Like they're the most famous NPCs in all of Pokemon: Brock, Misty, Surge, Koga, and Bruno, and like these are all the characters in Pokemon that most people know. So to see, if you go to the past, you have to look at their ancestors. But if you go into the future, obviously you've chosen to go 100 years into the future. So it's like not all of the same characters. Most of them are dead. But like certainly any game that could be set like 50 years in the future, for example, most of these characters, other than maybe like Agatha, is going to be alive. But Agatha's fine because she'll be a ghost. So that's fine. It's like literally her whole deal.
She transcended.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I can imagine them doing something like that, like the angry spirit of Agatha upstairs in the radio tower of Lavender Town, post its transformation.
But the idea of like a cyberpunk post-apocalyptic city is always tied already with Japan, at least trope-wise, with like Blade Runner.
True.
And a lot of other things. Like Japan
Neo
is
Tokyo
always,
is a very big thing.
Exactly. Neotopia
Yeah.
is like
Saffron City
Or
would
Kira.
be like Saffron City would be just like Blade Runner. It would just be like this kind of neo future.
Well,
You could
have
just see it. It just makes sense.
what's her name? Sabrina's Gym. I love that. In
It
Let's Go.
literally is those vibes.
Literally exactly those vibes.
Also, it was obviously in the Johto games upgraded with the magnet train, and so like it's already like a hub of it would become, not only is it already the central like city of the region, but it would become like the overwhelmingly biggest hub that everything would extend out from.
Have you guys heard of the Cyberpunk anime on Netflix?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I really want
I
to watch
watched
it.
it. I watched it. Really enjoyed it. Big fan.
Oh yeah, the Cyberpunk game. That's another game I 100%ed. Humble brag.
Oh wow. But that's weird because like, isn't that like constantly updated or something like that? So it's like,
I think they just recently announced DLC, but I don't think it's out yet.
I was about to say, wasn't that game hated? And then I remembered the other game you played with Shadow the Hedgehog. I was like, oh, shut up.
Conveniently, it runs perfectly fine if you have a PC that can run it perfectly fine.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, it is a huge mess.
So if you actually played Cyberpunk, then I assume the anime is even more fun. Because there's like nice nods and stuff.
It's on my watch list for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Have you watched Arcane?
I haven't even heard of it.
Wow. Okay, so Arcane was the biggest.
Wait, is that the
animated
League of Legends one?
Yeah,
Yes!
exactly.
Oh,
And
okay.
it won all the Emmys, by the way, Toby. If you didn't know, like for the
That's
animated
awesome.
stuff,
I didn't
it
know
won
that. That's
best
cool.
animated show last year or this year. Like
I just watched it again for the
previously.
second time. It was brilliant.
So
Again.
Arcane, number one modern animated show that isn't an anime that I'd recommend, and it's just on Netflix. It's like Cyberpunk is like this year's Arcane. It's not as good as Arcane, but it's like still like top tier animated show. It's
I
produced
love
by the
everything Trigger does.
Yeah,
Trigger's
exactly. So it's
probably my
Trigger.
favorite anime studio.
Okay, so then I didn't have to convince you. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, all right, Trigger, if you don't know, Toby, is a studio that makes some famous anime. A lot of them are like really heavy animation, very stylized, almost slightly like Western inspired, but definitely very like anime in terms of the tropes and the movement. Like, have you ever heard of like Kill la Kill, for example, Toby?
I've had a Kill la Kill, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Gurren Lagann.
Gurren Lagann.
We did start. I mean, Phoebe wanted to watch it with me, and I think after about 2 minutes, I just realized that I wasn't in the headspace to watch a new show right now, so I didn't. And she went off and watched it. But it's something I'll probably give a go at some point. Obviously, like my priority is to get through Brotherhood first.
Yeah, please do.
Of which I'm not making fast progress on, and probably won't do for a little while because
What happened?
I'm swamped with work, mate. I got channel stuff that I'm. This time of year for me is very much like to war, and I armor up and spend a lot of time working on thumbnails and.
No, makes sense.
There's a
Right.
new
I just
Pokemon
don't
game
use-
coming out next month.
Yeah,
It's busy
You might have heard of it.
time.
You might have heard of it, but yeah. So that's
Wait,
it's-
what game?
Slow down for me. Sun and Moon, I think. That's
Yeah,
what you said
okay.
last time.
Yeah,
It all
I
comes
can't say
together with this
Ultra.
one.
Ultra.
I can't, it doesn't. I still even right now. I can't. Scarlet and Violet. Yeah, I have to. I always forget the names of the new Pokemon games. I always say Sun and Moon or Sword and Shield. Don't know why. Whatever. Misconception, by the way. Gurren Lagann was not made by Trigger.
Oh, was it not?
It was
Is
made
it
by
just like the
Guidance. Same director.
director?
The director who went on to, the founder of Trigger.
Huh.
So that's cool. But I mean, what are there? What are some of your favorite shows and franchises? I already asked that before, but what did we say? You said just SpongeBob. But let's continue that conversation. Because what about now?
I don't really watch many franchisee shows these days.
It's not to be franchise.
Aside from the occasional anime.
Oh,
Most of my watching is either YouTube or like nature documentaries and such.
yeah, those are getting even more popular. Thank God.
Yeah.
'cause, like it seems like everybody asks is like, yeah, they watch nature documentaries or documentaries in general. And
I
obviously,
love
like,
learning.
True crime.
Learning is so
Yeah.
cool.
I expected that. But like for example, if you were to let's say watch an anime, what makes you start that anime series?
Usually just things I hear about it, or if it's done by Trigger.
Okay. Like the art or plot, just like any.
Yeah, I'm definitely an art nerd.
Cool.
I like things that are spiky and more interesting than just another generic anime.
Got it. Mob Psycho 100, very stylized, very well animated. If Toby, you know One Punch Man?
I've watched
I love
9
One
out
Punch
of
Man.
the 10 episodes of the first seasons of One Punch Man.
Yeah, it's same creator, completely different show though. I very much prefer Mob Psycho, and I think critically it is way more popular. Amazing, like top tier animation, way out there plot and designs and story. Just one of the most heartfelt episodes about a psychic, about a little kid psychic, who's very meek. Wait, what's meek? Wait, wrong word. What's meek? What does meek mean?
Meek is like weak, I guess.
Humble.
I guess.
Shy.
He's
small.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I used it correctly. He's not weak. He's literally the strongest character. But it's just like, imagine like this character who's very, very powerful, has these psychic powers, but he doesn't want that to define him. He just wants to be a normal kid and succeed in the things that normal kids want to succeed in. But he has this mentor who's this basically con artist who uses Mob to exorcise demons and ghosts for money.
Right.
But it's about the relationship, and this con artist is just he's a guy with a heart of gold. Like, he's a con artist, but he's actually helping people, and like he helps Mob and gives him advice, even though like he's technically using him for his powers to make money.
Right.
But it's like, really, who cares about the powers? It's about the
Character
the
relationships.
character relationship, and the amazing animation. Some of the coolest animation you see during, because imagine like psychic powers with like ghosts and demons, and like they'll be twisted, and like it's very cool. But yeah, so that's my recommendation for that. But if we're talking about art, you have a series on your channel. I guess you couldn't continue it because you have the sitting cuties, and you have the shirts.
Mm-hmm.
You review every single what's it called? What are the shirts called again?
Original
Stitch. Original Stitch.
Original Stitch Pokemon shirts. Yes.
Every Original Stitch pattern, which is the official like Pokemon expensive shirts that you can customize, and then also the Sitting Cuties line of plushes, which I think is my favorite plush line too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're literally the best. Where it's like literally every single Pokemon so far. It's been from Generation 1 to like 4, right? Of every Pokemon, just plushes that you can put on your desk and they sit, or anywhere. So because I'm a huge fan of both the Sitting Cutie line and also the Original Stitch patterns, at least, I have not gotten an Original Stitch shirt. They're expensive. So the reason why I also specifically love the Original Stitch review that you do, and I'm assuming you're going to continue that, right? Like when new ones come out. I have all these images of these patterns as my wallpapers for my computers. And it just cycles through these patterns. So when you're reviewing these shirts, you're reviewing them as shirts, which is, I know, that's how you do it. But I look at all of these patterns as like wallpapers. So it always like it gets me a little angry when you're like, oh, this would be terrible as a shirt, and then like you give it like a bad score or whatever. But it's like, no, but it's amazing as a wallpaper, and it looks amazing. So like some of these patterns,
that's fair.
Like some of these patterns just they suck for shirts.
There's some that they've done that are gutting, that they've changed over time. Like they had the original Metapod design was like, it was like green and it had all these leaves and it was really gorgeous, versus the new one. I don't know why they did that shift. I'm sure there's some logistical reason.
Most of the new ones are really good, actually.
Yeah, but it was just, there's odd instances where they changed some of the wallpapers up, and I don't really know. I don't know why they would make the choices they've made.
So yeah, in the future, next episode, maybe think about them as wallpapers, just for a second.
Maybe we'll see.
I
a lot
have
of them
an
work
art.
really well. A lot of them would work really well as like a shower curtain, also.
Oh yeah,
But a shirt.
I could see that. I could see that. I definitely had to mix and match a lot and play a lot when coming up with the designs, because I've got a number of them and I wear some of them at, like I went to this wedding yesterday, like, so I wore one for that, but like I don't wear them out every day. And they're coming up with designs that really work, or designs that you think are going to work, and then they arrive and you're like, I'm not sure how that is. It's a tough one. I had an art related thing, and this has actually been on my list to talk about on the podcast for a while. This was actually brought up by I don't know if they want me to say their name, so it's one of our viewers had something they wanted us to talk about, actually, which I think might be a really good discussion with the three of us, which was AI art. And that's because I just feel like I'm always hearing about AI art at the moment, and specifically, like, I've been sent, actually by the same viewer, pieces of AI art of myself, and you see you creased up, your face is cringed, but I love them. So it's artwork of me as like a gladiator or a king or a space marine or whatever. So I'm living out all these different fantasies, and so my gut reaction is, whoa, that's so cool. My eyes are a little messed up, but that's so cool.
Yeah.
But obviously,
that's what it should be for sure.
Yeah, as a product,
fun things like that.
It's totally fine.
Yeah, but I understand there's a lot of controversy around it. Obviously, Ron, you're very involved in the world of art, and I just feel like I'm hearing a lot about AI art at the moment. And I thought it would probably make an interesting podcast discussion anyway. So I just guess what your guys' thoughts.
It's just all about context and how you present the art, the AI art. You're allowed to do whatever you want with AI art. That's like, as long as it's legal, it's totally fine. And if it looks cool, I'll say it's cool.
Yeah, it should definitely be used as a tool to help. Like I know plenty of artists that hate drawing backgrounds, but like if you can just use an AI to generate a background for your hand drawn art, or like that's palette, just using a tool,
like a color palette.
And like Photoshop has all of these fancy tools and such, and each tool isn't taking away from the artistry just because more and more AI is being used. Like the autofill, where you like one click and boom, this person's acne is completely gone in one click. That's not taking away from the artistry. It's just speeding things along. It's a tool, and tools should be used.
Well,
but
I
all
guess...
tools can be used irresponsibly also.
But
so,
I guess the argument is the argument that I've heard is that, okay, but hang on, if you can just generate a background of like a beautiful forest, for example, someone who previously would have got paid to make that beautiful background may not get paid. Furthermore, the AI has sourced that art from other existing bits of artwork, and so there's a lot of question there. I love the idea that everyone could become an artist because the tools become more accessible. At the same time, I'd obviously feel bad for artists who have spent years honing their craft only to discover that skill set is now being potentially replaced. And so I guess it's slightly deeper discussion, I would have thought.
But yeah, I think most artists agree with the idea of using it as a tool. Like again, like even like big concept designers and people who are even against AI art, they use like the way they make their like matte paintings or their concept art is literally just like they take pictures, not even use it as reference, but they like layer pictures on top of each other for like, let's say, trees and foliage or like mountains and like textures. Like they'll use actual images for the textures and then like use a layer mode to blend it in, and that's totally fine because it's just a tool. But if you literally just are clicking buttons to generate a picture and then you present that as a piece of art, that's where it's controversial. If this is like an account that just makes AI art and they're presenting it as AI art, there's nothing wrong with it. But if it's just like, if you're entering in like an AI in like just a normal art contest and it's just you generated AI
I wonder how the world would feel about AI thumbnails, like for my Pokemon videos.
Thumbnails are all marketing anyway, so yeah, you can do that. I don't think anybody's against that.
Another argument that I think is interesting and a big gray area is the whole aspect of the AI being trained by other people's art. Because what do artists do? They just come up with art on the fly. They don't absorb styles from the artists around them that they see.
Yeah.
Like, I see what you're saying. So you're saying that is a very human thing for the AI to do. The frustration of artists who have spent years learning that and honing that craft would be, but now it can do it in seconds. But then I suppose, and I don't want to sound anti-artist here. My girlfriend is an artist. She is a works by commission artist. I'm interested in the discussion side entirely.
Maybe we'll talk about it when she's a guest.
Yeah, actually, it would be lovely to have her on as a guest and chat about this with her, actually. I wonder, like... So, I don't know. It's someone's whole job, right, to walk from town to town carrying like...
Jugs.
Jugs. There you go. Sure. And then suddenly someone invents, like, the wheel, and they build a car... And now you don't have to master the art of walking.
Juggling.
Or juggling. Jugs. You can, and so that might be really frustrating for the person who's done that, but then maybe the argument is, but the technology's here, it's helping everyone, so, like, you get on board, the technology's here. At the same time, I can't help but hear, Jeff Goldblum's character and saying, "Oh, they didn't stop to think that they should make it. They, they just knew they could." I'm misquoting.
Other than Photoshop, I guess like music, like back in the day, it was all just instruments. A drummer would drum, but now you can just make a beat on the computer. But it's like nobody's against that anymore, and I'm trying to think why. Because like obviously I know
it's been around long enough.
It's just okay then.
But also,
Change is scary.
That's an interesting discussion because what you've just said there is that yes, there have been technological replacements for
artists,
but real music still exists. People still want to listen to live music.
You can't just generate an AI can't generate music, or like you can't just let a digital audio workstation just like generate music.
You would consider a musician to be someone who can make those beats on the laptop as equal as someone who can play the drums, for example.
Equal in validity of the art of the music.
I
wouldn't say a person clicking keyboards is a drummer, but
no, that's so interesting. That's so interesting.
So like a person who programs AI art or whatever isn't an artist, but the art that they create could be artistic, like it could be art. But again, it's like professionally that'll be a disaster. You can't just like, let's say you commission art from an AI artist, and it's like you don't like a part of it, and let's say they aren't an actual artist, they can't like paint over or anything. They have to just now generate another thing or like iterate again. That's just like, it's not going to work out. It's like there's going to be a billion changes that the commissioner is going to want. Is that what you call a person who commissions? A commissioner?
I suppose.
So
actually, that brings up another good point about the whole it being a tool aspect. I see so many tweets of people saying like, "Hey, don't worry, AI art is terrible because look, they drew a sixth finger on the hand." But like, just any artist can generate art, and then if they know how to draw hands, they just draw over that hand and fix it. So all the AI did is speed up their process.
I suppose working with a specific AI will be like working with a specific palette of or a different type of paint or different types of pens, and to master each kind of AI and the type of result it produces, and then to be able to edit and alter that in Photoshop will be what a future artist will be.
There's a famous YouTuber called Ross Draws, one of the biggest like art based YouTubers, where most of his videos, he takes a picture, maybe even does like a cosplay. Let's see, cosplay as himself as Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Okay, just takes pictures of those, puts it into Photoshop, and then does a lot of liquefying, and then does a lot of like selecting and stuff like that, and then paints over it, and then it becomes a fan art of this character Azula. And it's like totally valid. Everybody loves it. Everybody's okay with it. But again, it's because he's mastered the art skills already. He's already a good artist. But again, that's definitely harder than AI art.
The conversation can get hard with art specifically because when we talk about an artist, like artist can be used in two terms here, where it's like an artist is someone who creates a canvas painted piece of imagery to look at, and then also an artist, a musician is an artist, and an actor is an artist, and like it's kind of got a double meaning, I think, and I guess there just will be artists that like artists as in those who create images will still exist. Will still, I assume, this will just be a further tool in their arsenal, I guess. Yeah. I guess it's frustrating if you spent years learning this tool and now you've been given the super mega version, I guess.
Especially since it's literally impossible to outlaw AI art, both legally and like in the art world. Like it's not gonna go away. It's only gonna get better, and it's only gonna start being more accessible. So it's like, again, like we said, like a person who isn't an artist won't be able to paint out the extra finger or like notice any anatomical like imperfection, or just like the lighting being off or something like that.
I'd love to talk about this with Phoebe. This is genuinely the most thought I've ever given this, and I just think it's really interesting.
Lockstin, what would you say you're an expert on?
Pokemon?
Oh, that sucks because we're kind of Pokemon experts too.
YouTube. Content creation, man. Content creation.
I guess content creation. I've been learning a lot about how to do thumbnails and titles lately. I have yet to really apply any of it, but I've been reading and watching a lot of stuff about
What's
it.
what are your current takeaways that you're really, if you're willing to share the secrets?
That you have to balance titles both for the algorithm and for humans, because you can put as many keywords as you want for the algorithm, but if it's not an eye-catching title, like it's not going to get views. YouTube will show it to other people and recommend it, but you're not going to get clicks.
Well, you're one of the few YouTubers that I see using emojis in their titles.
Yeah.
Where did that start? Is that working?
I have no idea. I've heard very mixed things about it. I think it started just with Terminal Montage. Because he always uses emojis, and I like that. It's eye-catching because it's different. Mm-hmm. It helps me stand out from other Pokemon content creators.
I guess.
I really I started doing it literally because of you about a week ago.
Nice.
And I really like it. And I'm gonna tell you what, I agree with you. I sort of think about YouTube a little bit like this. So YouTube has a profile on everyone, and wants a viewing profile, knows their habits. I suspect that the majority of people subscribed to my channel are Pokemon fans. And so it doesn't really matter anymore if I put Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in my title. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend this to a new creator, but someone who's already got an audience. My audience already like those things, and YouTube knows that my audience like those things. So when my video pushes out to the subscription box, it doesn't need to have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in the title necessarily. Instead, it should just read like a message to a friend, check out the new Ghost Pokemon. Because what that's going to do is my audience is going to watch it as the kind of test audience, and then YouTube's going to go, so 1,000 people who like Pokemon videos just watch this video the whole way through. We'll push it out to more people who like Pokemon videos. So I don't know how much the SEO in the title is important anymore. Like there's enough information in the video, and based from the viewer watching it, that like this is a video for Pokemon fans. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's right or whether you guys think that's wrong, but that's kind of how I'm feeling about it all at the moment.
I've heard a lot of mixed things about this, which just gets into how complicated the algorithm is, especially because it keeps changing.
What's crazy is that I thought, like, in my mind, I assumed Lockstin doesn't have like even the word Pokemon in his titles, but they are all in. I just checked.
Like, it's all there. But I try to keep it towards the end so that it's not visible to a person just having the video recommended to them. Like when they just see it and like the end of the title is cut off. Because, like, that's not important for the viewer. That's important for the algorithm.
Robot. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so you do still do that for the algorithm. Because that's, like, a thing that I also can't, like, let go of. Like, I'm always scared of releasing a video that doesn't have the word Pokemon in it. And it's so hard sometimes trying to, like, shoehorn it in.
I've genuinely had videos do okay that don't have Pokemon in the title anymore. Hang on. I've been uploading a lot recently.
It can be done.
I was talking with a I don't want to say his name, but I was talking with a big tech YouTuber about titles and stuff, and he recommended I start doing titles like "You'll never believe that Pokemon did this" in like all caps and stuff. And like he has experience. He gets like 1 million views per video.
Wow.
But like I just feel like if I started doing that, I wouldn't be standing out from
I did a video
because that's done to death almost.
Yeah. I did a video that when one of the new trailers came out, and there's is it Mela, the Team Stars lady? Yeah. It had her on the thumbnail. I actually think we showed this on the podcast, the thumbnail. It was one of the only time we've edited in an image. But I titled it, "Okay, but it looks like a Wii game." And then had the letters like jumbled between upper and lower case. That video did great. That video did genuinely great. And there's not a single SEO word in that title. In fact, it
appeals to people. Making titles that appeal significantly more to people is a great way to get views.
That's what I've been thinking.
You may not initially get YouTube may not initially recommend it, but as soon as it realizes the people it is recommending it to are clicking, that'll take over and it'll start recommending it more.
The episode that did randomly well of this podcast was also something very similar, where we just said in the title, "Are Pokemon graphics bad?" or something like that. Something like people really care. It's just whatever people are actually thinking is what they're going to click on. You have to put the title is just what they're asking or what they're looking for. But that's why it's even crazier that like Lockstin videos some of them do well when they're just like a random Pokemon that we may not even think about. And it's not like something that everybody's been asking why. I'm not asking myself Carnivine.
Right. I'm never thinking about Carnivine until the Carnivine video comes up.
I did specifically choose to do Carnivine at that time because of Legends Arceus.
True.
Because like Carnivine's pretty all over the place in there. I was considering doing a video just asking why Paris is so aggressive. Also, I ended up not, but like that was a meme for a while.
So is that your process when you're selecting what videos you're going to make? Is like. But you, with Legends Arceus, my gut instinct is I need to talk about the new history forms, I need to talk about the new characters, I need to talk about the locations that are reflective of old locations, Easter eggs, hidden secret things. The idea, like, Carnivine is really low down on my list, you know, to the point where it's just never getting, like, how do you choose that we should do
a goal of mine is to eventually do a video about every Pokemon.
Okay.
When else is Carnivine going to be relevant?
I see what you're saying. So you've got that in mind already first. And do you know how many Pokemon you've got? Have you got like a Pokedex with ticked off?
I've been thinking of making one. I don't have one yet.
Oh, really? I thought you would have. What I have been wondering, though, this is the big question. What is, like, the Lockstin team? Like, what do you do? Who are other people that do other things, I assume? Because that is also confusing.
I'm the host, the voiceover guy. The director, producer. I write most of the scripts, but I do have another writer who helps with some of the more biology-focused videos, because I am not a big expert there. He has a channel of his own called Biotaverse. It's really good.
Biotaverse.
But like he's written all of the videos about the regional birds, for instance. There's my wife, Amber, who also does a lot of writing, especially of the more historical variety. She's finishing up a Lucario script right now. Because of all the Egypt stuff. And then I have 3 editors. 2 of them are employees, and one of them's a freelancer that I just hire all the time.
So this is a whole like LLC.
Yeah, I have a whole official business, and it's helped a lot with taxes. But yeah, so the whole team is 5.5 people, I guess 6 or so. It just depends on how you count freelancers. But yeah, and that's the whole Noggin team. I don't do much of the video editing myself anymore, aside from finishing touches. I always go through the videos that the editors send me and add a couple things here and there. I do like color filters. I do all the music mixing for most of the videos.
I would if I was you in the position.
Yeah, I have one editor that likes doing the music himself, and so I let him do that. But the rest of the videos,
that's really interesting that you finish up the edits. That's just really interesting because I'd never even thought of doing that, and yet that sounds really appealing to me. It's just being handed a Premiere project and then with all the related files and then just going on and doing the final tweaks. Actually sounds more appealing to me than like having to do review notes, actually.
Yeah, I do send them, like they'll send me a rough draft and then I'll type up a bunch of notes for them to do, and then they'll get me the final version. But then since I'm doing the music at the end anyway, I go through and do any like color filters, and just any last minute things like, oh, I've decided this particular image might not be the best image for getting this point across, so I'll replace it with this one, kind of thing.
And then the thumbnails, that's a different like artist every time. What's going on with that?
What's the word compose? I compose the thumbnails, but I do commission art for a lot of them, and that is different artists all the time. I go to Taplouse and Crantime all the time.
You've got this beautiful thing in your videos that I really love, and it's so simple. Rounded edges on basically all your graphics.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has a rounded edge.
Is that a mask? Or is that an effect?
Well, in After Effects, I think it's Q. You press Q twice, and then it does that for you automatically.
They're not editing in Premiere?
Is there a part where it goes into Premiere, or it's always After Effects?
I'm not sure what they do specifically. I know whenever I'm editing something, I do the base work in Premiere, and then I do After Effects for anything fancy, like graphics flying all over the place. So we use both.
And in terms of like recording the videos, is there anyone behind the camera, or do you just set it up and you press record?
Yeah, I just set it up and press record. I do have to have my wife focus the camera because it never keeps focus. I don't know why.
Your wife is a teacher, or works?
Yeah, she's a preschool teacher, part-time. She's like a substitute
Part-time.
now.
Oh.
And then she works for me doing social media stuff, research, writing, things like that.
That's very cool.
It's amazing,
Yeah,
man.
it's a big business.
Do you know about Pokéthon?
Sounds familiar.
So Pokéthon is this yearly charity event that Poketubers do together. It used to be the first few were on location, so the flights were paid for, and the Poketubers would go there. So like I was flown to, let's say, California, the first year that I did it, but then the pandemic started, so the last few years it was all remote. But then this year it's again, in person. And
Nice.
I'm sure that they would love you if you would willing to come. But again, they're not going to get everybody. But obviously, they're going to want Lockstin there, if he was an option. So yeah, I'll look into that if that's a thing you're interested in. Even last minute, you could. Again, you're Lockstin. Like you can come in last minute. That's definitely a thing. You like charity, and you like Pokemon, so you'd enjoy it a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
Just a good excuse to go somewhere. And I'm not a person who likes to travel, so if
you
I'm
have
going, there's a reason to go.
Do you guys, either of you, I mean, I've been thinking a lot about this recently for myself, but like, do you guys have what's the long term? What's the 5-10 year plan with your channels? Is anyone thinking of rapping, or are you thinking of expanding into new things and new territories?
I'm thinking of wrapping this podcast episode.
Oh, I had a topic I wanted to talk about.
Now we'll talk about it. I'm still not at the point where it's like the channel is like perfect, where it's like every video is doing amazingly and like I've done everything I want to do, or so. No, it's going to continue for the foreseeable future, because I would like to get to a point where it's like definitely at least 1 million subscribers, but also just like a point where chasing that dream where it's like every video is sustainable.
Yeah,
like I don't have like that would be awesome. Like where I get to a point where like every video does at least 100,000. I'm almost at that point where like every video, I say that like 85% of the videos eventually do 100,000 within the first like few years.
Wow.
First few weeks or a month. But I want to get a point where every video does that, and then I'll be very satisfied. Honestly, that's view wise. In terms of like satisfaction, in terms of like projects and stuff, I want to, because once I'm able to sustain, once every video is like does well, which is in my opinion 100,000 views, then I can just do whatever I want, and that's gonna be even more satisfying and even more fun. So why would I stop now?
No, sure, sure.
That's my perspective.
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. Things have been very touch and go. I keep wanting to revisit that other channel that I started, the Azoth University. Yeah. I just haven't been able to find the time because just focusing on just the main channel stuff.
But if we're talking about like non-True Green 7 or non-main channel stuff, for example, I do want to eventually start a second channel that is basically True Green 7, but all the other stuff that I like. Yeah. But also specifically, this is just a dream that I've been having the last few weeks. But like a reaction channel, I love, like, reactions are my guilty pleasure. I love watching them every day, and I would love to do a reaction channel just for fun.
Cool. I can see that. I can see you doing that. That'd be good. And yeah, I always liked the Azoth videos as well, Lockstin. I could again see you doing that very well. It's
basically Lockstin, but for other things. So it's like, that's what I've always wanted to do with an eventual second channel.
Mm-hmm. The same content, just not Pokemon.
Yeah.
But the thing is that Pokemon really is my favorite franchise, and also like, I'm not like a gamer, so like I'm more like a animation guy or even anime. So it's like, I can't do like an anime channel because I'm not like as knowledgeable as anime as the other anime like YouTubers, but I can definitely do like an animation channel, which is like half anime, half animation. That way I don't have to talk about anime every episode, every video. But that would be True Green 7 too, if that's what you're wondering. True Green 8.
True Green 8. True Green times 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
I can't do Ronimation because that exists. Like, it's such a like perfect thing. So there's already like an animator named Ron who has like Ronimation. So if you guys have good names for in the comments, let me know.
False Green 7. It's not true anymore.
I thought you said all screen. But yeah, false screen is not bad. False red -7. But yeah, we'll see.
Actually, the S right before green makes it sound like screen.
Yeah, false screen. Like false screen sounds like a cool that sounds like a movie reviewer.
Fall screen, and it's all like autumn themed, all autumnal colors.
So it's orange instead of green, which orange used to be my least favorite color until this year. Now it's yellow. But who cares?
Funny how opinions change.
Yeah, especially about color and art.
I gotta talk about a plug apparently, like a bath plug.
What kind of plug?
Like a sink plug. Something to do with a plug.
There's one plug I'm thinking of.
Hey Lockstin, where can we find you?
On YouTube at Lockstin and Noggin, or Twitter at Lockstin.
Awesome.
That's where you find me.
No, but what's your address?
Oh, I live at 5690